into the CHGO White Sox postgame show, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Alongside me, the full CHGO White Sox crew. You got Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. And the man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. And we do have a very rowdy crowd already. Shout out to Kirk for HGH. Huge game Hunter Gaddis. We'll talk about his big game today. And Danny saying time for a 6-game losing streak. So the White Sox fans are in good spirits after a White Sox loss. They lose 3-0 to the Guardians.
How could you not be in good spirits? As you can see, the night game the White Sox just played is over. The sun is still out. The pitch clock is going to run away with the MVP voting this year, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Aaron Judge having a nice season.
Cool. Is he having as good of a season as the pitch clock is?
No, I don't think so.
Pitch clock's undefeated.
The run value is insane.
2 hours and 16 minutes is perfect for a loss. You don't get too mad about it. It went by quickly. And you don't have to wait through all this garbage of changing pitchers and then waiting for another pitcher to throw a pitch. Get to it. Get to the loss early. When he hit that home run in the, 7th inning, I was like, game over. Let's go. Hurry up. Get out, please, because you're not scoring runs today. And if you're going to lose like this, do it quickly. It's awesome. That pitch clock is revolutionary. It's great.
Yeah, and when you have two bad offenses, makes the game go real quick.
Keep this pace up.
I mean, it's not, and we can't even say good pitchers. I mean, we had a pregame and we kind of talked like Jimmy Lambert. We'll see if he gets any length. Jesse Scholtens, we'll see if he does all right. Hunter Gaddis, he gave up 5 home runs to the White Sox last time. Looking like a Cy Young for Hunter Gaddis with his. Coming into today's game, he had an ERA at home of 16.50.
That's high.
It's going to go down after a start like this. Today was just. Kind of just shows you how bad the AL Central is, no?
Well, yes and no, I guess. The AL Central is not good. And listen, there's a reason that the White Sox are still in this thing, despite being 10 games, now 11 games under 500, and not really on the brink either of really even being counted out of this yet, considering nobody opted to bury them after they fell off the map there in April. And so even just a little bit of good play like we saw the last few weeks has gone ahead and kept them right in this race. We talk about it all the time. There are nights when even the best of teams are going to look like both the White Sox and Guardians did tonight, but the opportunity that the White Sox have had to make up some ground is only an opportunity because these teams in the AL Central have provided it.
And Hunter Gaddis, he's faced another team and done the same performance that he just did versus the White Sox. 6 innings pitched. He gave up only 1 that game. Can you guess the team that he shut down in this 2023 season?
I know it.
Do you know the team that he shut down?
The A's.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
It's the A's.
This is a good guess.
The goddamn A's. That's everybody else is like, delicious. White Sox and A's can't figure out soft toss and Hunter Gaddis.
Well, they'd previously figured him out.
They did.
Had a ton of home runs. Didn't do that tonight. And two, I thought it was going to be an all right game with the start. Luis Robert had a nice shot into right center for a single, and then Andrew Benintendi almost took out Gaddis with one that went right back up the middle. But after that, after the second inning, they really did nothing. You were in Jake's office for a large part of the game just because literally it was so quick, the pitch clock. And once you were in there, it just feels like the White Sox offense was zapped. They didn't have a good at bat once Vinny went into Jake's office. It was like we lost reception. It was brutal. I don't get it. Even the second at bat for Vaughn, I talked about it on Twitter. Gaddis throws a cutter 0-0 in the middle of the plate. Mm-hmm. Vaughn takes it, taking on the first pitch, understandable, and then I guess Andrew Vaughn just decided he was swinging. Yeah. We know Andrew Vaughn has a good eye. And Andrew Vaughn frustratingly, and on Saturday against Jordan Lyles, was taking pitches that, and kind of getting mad at the ump when he was calling like borderline pitches strikes. It's like, okay, Andrew, we get it. You have a great eye. Swing. It kind of felt like
it's the thing that's kind of cursed Yohan Moncada at times throughout his career, right?
Right. Yeah. And we see that he starts doing well when he gets a little bit more aggressive. I do want to see Andrew walk more, so it's kind of just like I would like him to be better offensively. That's a different debate. But the second pitch is literally in the left-handed batter's box. It's the same cutter you just saw, and he's talking about when he takes Jordan Lyles deep in Kansas City that Jordan Lyles threw him the same pitch, and that's when he, the second pitch is when he took him deep. You get the same pitch, and it's in the left-handed batter's box, and you're swinging at it. It just seems like the decision was made to say, I'm swinging here. Like, we have seen improvement on sliders against sweepers and cutters for Andrew Vaughn, but, I mean, today was just a horrendous offensive day for the White Sox. And we kind of talked pregame like, this is going to be an easy day no matter what for the White Sox because they're facing Hunter Gaddis. And, man, we could not have been more wrong.
I don't know what the game plan is. We showed the stats earlier, it was 13 strikeouts and 6 walks in 22 innings for Hunter Gaddis before this game. So he doesn't put a lot of people on via the walk, and he's not getting a bunch of people to strike out. So the ball is pretty much in play. It's pretty much in the strike zone for the most part all day long. And the White Sox, time after time after time, taking pitches right down the middle. And I know they were below the hitting speed, but you have to adjust to that. The first at bat, I understand. That's an adjustment period. You haven't seen this guy since September. Second time, third time through the order, you should be crushing Hunter Gaddis, in which they did not. They were taking so many pitches that were very hittable and very good. And as you spoke about the Andrew Vaughn thing, I remember you got really pissed about it. It's like, there's the ball cutter right in the middle of the plate, and then he gets the ball in the left-hander's batter's box, and he's flailing at it. There was a lot of that today, and there was really nobody that I thought that was a great approach today. You had a great game. Tim walked, but there was not a lot of, hey, I'm attacking this guy. They're off on his cutter, even though they know he throws a bunch of cutters. Like, they were just swinging at him as if they were just forcing fastballs and hitting him off the end of the bat and popping him straight up. So, yeah, it was a very disappointing effort. Sometimes you lose and you're like, cool, that guy was better. Hunter Gaddis wasn't good today.
Well, even on a night, though, when it's not a good showing, think about how little they had to overcome. You know what I mean? Like, White Sox pitching did basically the same thing. They only gave up 4 hits. White Sox had 3 hits. Guardians only had 4 hits. One of them happened to leave the park toward the end of the game and kind of make it kind of a done deal, so to speak. But one run given up by Jesse Scholtens, who and it came home on a wild pitch. It's not like they were getting. It's not like their pitchers were getting bashed around, and it was just this night is toast. They didn't even need to do what you're saying they should have done, which is knock a guy around the yard or anything like that. They just needed to cash in one time. They just needed to cash in one time. They had one opportunity late in the 7th inning, which was really the only opportunity they had all night. Cash in there, and it's a whole different ball game. But they couldn't even do that bare minimum thing, which I think is probably what becomes the most frustrating for that group of hitters.
And you bring up the bottom of the second, that wild pitch right there. It was such a frustrating inning because the walk to start off, and Steve Stone's like, 38 innings and 38 and a third and only 11 walks. Great control for Jesse Scholtens, just kind of the broadcaster's curse there. Then Brennan singles to left field, kills a bird. R.I.P. to the bird.
That was awful to have to watch.
Why
would they show the replay?
Initially, I didn't know what happened. I just thought Brennan had just a shit-eating grin on his face for no damn reason, like he got a single the opposite way. And then I saw it like, oh, yeah, he killed a bird. He was like, I'm happy about it.
They show that on National Geographic, right? Animal Planet, maybe?
Well, sure, but that's the circle of life.
Yeah, I mean, that's the circle of life.
Hunting is not necessarily the circle of life, but like a lion taking down a zebra, that would be the circle of life. This is a poor bird in a baseball stadium just trying to catch a game.
We evolved, right? And in our most primal self, we were hunter-gatherer. Hunter-gatherer. I was trying to make it
I got
fun.
you.
Yeah.
It almost landed. You're almost there.
It's most of my jokes. But anyways, so Brennan kills a bird, singles to left. Him and Arias are on second and first. Then they try a double steal, and Arias takes third,
But they make the play at second.
Get Brennan at second.
Yeah.
Cleveland doesn't challenge, and we thought that could have been a play that would have gotten overturned.
He kind of looked like he was safe.
Didn't look like Romy touched him.
Yeah.
And then Zunino pops out. So they get 2 outs by Yaz making a great throw and a great tag by Romy at second.
Allegedly. An allegedly great tag.
Alleged talent. And then Scholtens gets the pop-up to Zunino, and then literally the next pitch he just throws it past Grandal, and you wanted even a pass ball for Grandal.
It was a pass ball to me. Like, yes, it is off the plate, and Grandal has to move a little bit. But a catcher worth his salt puts that glove on the ground and smothers the ball, understanding there's a guy at third. Yeah, it happened quickly and it's fast, but that's a veteran catcher like Yasmani Grandal. As Steve said in the broadcast, he'll probably say in the postgame, I should have had that. He knew the pitch he threw, and he doesn't know. I mean, maybe he doesn't understand how Scholtens delivers it, but he knew it was off the plate initially, so you should either smother it with your body or smother it with the glove, knowing that that runner's at third and he needs to be taken care of. And you know the at-bats you've been having already early in the game, so you know runs are at a premium.
I don't hate that it was a wild pitch because you're going down 3-0 to Miles Straw, and that's on a four-seam fastball that completely misses, the ump, the catcher, the batter. It just completely goes to the backstop. I don't understand what was happening with Scholtens in that at bat too. But I'm fine with it being a wild pitch. Regardless, it's another mistake, and that's kind of something that I was going to talk about with you guys in the pregame. We'll have this little discussion, and we'll take a break. But we really haven't seen that perfect game from the White Sox where the offense is clicking, the starter is clicking, the defense is clicking. Even back to when they win 17-4 against Cincinnati. Michael Kopech is giving up 4 solo shots. That's not great. I think back to, was it the Lance Lynn game?
I think you're thinking the 8-3 game.
8-3 game
against these Guardians.
Yeah.
Right, where they're hitting home runs. It's a great start from Lance Lynn, but then Andrew Vaughn's slipping and falling on his
bad defensive day. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So we haven't really seen that perfect game from the Sox.
They've gotten a lot closer,
right?
And I think that the last 2 series of that homestand was as close as they've gotten to that the entire way. I think we had this conversation after the Guardians series ended, and it was like, oh, well, that you were like, man, they played so much better defense in that Clevenger start that, hey, that's the game, right? And I was like, oh, well, but Lance Lynn was damn good the other night. And then you get the gem from Kopech, a really nice outing from Giolito, and then they play another really good game for the most part yesterday with Lynn on the hill. So they had been making a habit of, if not being perfect, like the way you described it, being pretty close. Right. And tonight, obviously, that was not the case. Again, I would compliment the pitching because they only gave up four hits. But when the margin for error is you're making it that slim for yourself. Like I said, all they got to do is cash in one time, and they might have won that game.
Absolutely, and that's just one error from Scholtens, but the pitching was good today. That was probably the best part, and the defense too. Outside of that mix-up with Scholtens and Grandal, for the large part, was great.
On a day, too, where the bulk of your innings are being covered by a guy that you just called up from AAA, and not only that, but you're using an opener. You don't really know how the bullpen situation is going to evolve because you don't know what Scholtens is going to be able to give you. We talked in the pregame, how many innings is Jimmy Lambert going to go? Well, he only goes 1 because it took him 20 pitches to get out of that first inning. Scholtens comes in and does a good job. Now, you can argue that it's the Guardians' fault for not being a very good offensive team, but hey, the results are the same. He didn't even throw 70 pitches, I don't think, in the 5 innings that he threw. So. So the bullpen kind of continues to do its job. The pitching was good today, but that's what that's what I kind of heard during this last homestand was, hey, look, we're finally doing that thing we weren't doing earlier in the season where the pitching and the hitting are coming together on the same day. This looks like the kind of game the White Sox had in April.
Yeah, and 67 pitches for Scholtens, 40 of them being strikes. So he did a good job. I would have loved to see more strikeouts, but beggars can't be choosers. What he did today is exactly even better than what the White Sox could have even imagined. And the first inning by Jimmy Lambert, as you said, Vinny, I think that walk is what cost him not coming out for the second inning because 20 was fine probably. I mean, like 15 was fine probably for him to go to the second inning, but 20 is a little too much because they know that he wouldn't probably finish the second inning. So you got exactly what you wanted from their starting pitcher, from their relieving pitchers, even though the Groot Santos gave up the home run. Sometimes you're going to give up home runs to Mike Zunino.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you just
that's
throw
like
your hands up.
Foot shorter. That's probably bouncing off the wall.
Exactly, and I didn't even check Wooded Dong, and that's probably out in Cleveland and a couple other ballparks, but a few others. But you got the great pitching, and then the offense just lays an egg right there. Once you got to the bullpen, I was like, all right, that's it. You need to get to the bullpen in the 5th inning, in the 6th inning, not in the 7th inning, because when you get into the 7th inning, they got some people who can throw some arms at you. That Stefan is a thing, and, of course, Marion Clase is always going to be a bugaboo for everybody in the league, especially the White Sox.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. I do want to get to a super chat here, though, from Husky Bardo. Joey, if that's cool.
Boom.
Husky Bardo with the $2 super chat. Appreciate you. What are we doing with TA? He's been really bad. 0 for 2 today with a walk.
0 for 3 with a walk.
0 for 3 with a walk for TA. Really haven't seen it come back from TA, and it really seems like it's all stemming from that groin injury last year. I don't know if it's still the same issues that are lingering, but we really haven't seen that starting shortstop for the American League All-Star team bounce back.
Sure, I would say, and I don't have the numbers, I'm not looking at the numbers or anything. I seem to remember that before he got his knee hurt, he was hitting pretty well. So this could be less of a carryover from last year and perhaps more, unfortunately for him and the White Sox, a repeat of last year where he is going well and then an injury to his lower half kind of throws things off. Anecdotally, watching him run, it's quite obvious that he is not doing this sort of thing that he normally does. So he obviously is still affected by that in some way. Not being able to feel right is obviously going to have an impact. So that would be what I would point to, but it's not anything anybody wants to use in an excuse, and the production has very much not been there. The quality of the at-bats, maybe not even quality, just the type of at-bats that you're used to seeing Tim Anderson turn into a lot of base hits, you're not seeing them right now. And listen, guys, even the best players in baseball go on extended slumps. This could be something that in a month we're like, haha, remember when? But right now, it's very much not TA. That's for sure.
Just to add some numbers, Herb, before you jump in, Josh Nelson tweeted this out earlier, and this doesn't include his day today, but in the last 365, Tim Anderson has played 740 games, spanning 300.
Not that many games. It's a lot of games.
Huh?
You said 704 games.
Played 74 games, and that's not including today. Spanning 326 plate appearances. Anderson slash line 262, 295, 312, and he's grounded into 13 double plays, more than his 12 extra base hits. But to Vinny's point, before the knee injury on April 10th, TA slash line 298, 327, 404, with 5 doubles. So 5 of his 14 hits were extra base hits, and he had 5 stolen bases. So that could be the biggest part that is the setback, is just that knee injury that he suffered earlier in April.
I mean, after you did this multiple times during the offseason, we talked about it multiple times during the offseason, the stark difference in what he was able to do after suffered a leg injury last year. And now you're looking at a same thing where a stark difference in what he's able to do after suffering a leg injury this year.
And TA, I hear what you're saying, Stephen Bardo. It's tough to watch him play right now, but that first at bat, he took Hunter Gaddis to a 3-2 count and drove a ball to right field with some authority. It was almost 100 miles per hour off the bat, and that is quintessential TA. And then later in the game, another 3-2 count, got a walk. So, yes, baby steps, and I got to find some little things to have some positivity towards TA. The results have been bad, but I can see him kind of getting out of it, especially with that rocket he hit off of Hunter Gaddis at the start of the game. So I hope he takes some positivity out of that. As Vinny, you were brought up yesterday, as a basketball player, see a shot go through every once in a while. Now Tim's like, man, that was a line drive. Finally, I'm driving the ball, and then he can build off of that. Now I need to have those balls drop in, and then I can have those balls go over the fence. Just build off of that, because he knows he's coming off an injury. Now he can say, okay, I have the power to do it. It's just me doing it a little bit more often, a little bit more consistently. So I think you just need to be patient. I would still have him drop down in the order a little bit more, but I think Pedro thinks this is part of the process of Tim getting better, is being at the top of the order, and him being good at the top of the order makes the rest of the team go. But I don't know how much you can do that for, how much longer you could do that for.
It's part of the presence, and it's part of the leadership that we mentioned pregame, and that was a good discussion. And feel free to go back to the pregame and to listen to it. But it's kind of the discussion that we were having about Andrew Benintendi during the game. It's just like, if this team is going to be a contending team and hang around in the pathetic AL Central, as Husky Bardo says, Tim Anderson, Andrew Benintendi, Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez when he comes back, Yohan Moncada, Yasmani Grandal, they need to contribute. Like, there's no way around it. Like, this won't be a good baseball team if Tim Anderson's bad. So, like, if Tim Anderson's bad at first in the lineup or bad at eighth in the lineup, he's going to be, that's not good for the White Sox, regardless of if he's getting less at-bats or not. I mean, at some point, maybe we'll see a demotion, but I doubt that that's going to happen.
That does not seem likely. And I think, to your point, just to kind of say it in a different way, whether Tim Anderson is batting leadoff and not producing, or whether he's batting eighth, whatever you want him to bat, they still don't have leadoff man Tim Anderson in either situation, right? And so they're still missing that thing that has made them go, that has powered that lineup in the past. It's not like moving him out of that spot right now solves a problem. It doesn't. Is there some guy right now who you stick at that leadoff spot and he does the same thing that Tim Anderson does when Tim Anderson is on? You know what I mean?
Team.
So letting Tim figure that out there, it's critical that not only they get Tim Anderson back, but they get Tim Anderson, the leadoff hitter, back, because it's what this lineup's built around.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, there isn't somebody that provides what Tim does. But again, Tim isn't fully healthy to provide what Tim does. So I don't know. I mean, it's just they're not dealing with a full, deck of cards.
But I would say, though, you just can't have him up there being this. You got to adjust to what he is now. And if he is not that guy yet or ever, you just can't just keep on going until June. Oh, Tim will come back. Oh, July. Tim will come back. Like, after a while, this is a meritocracy. You should have the better hitters getting more at-bats. And if Tim doesn't bounce out of this game or any other game in this road trip with a positive effect on the team, you got to start thinking about that. You have to, because, maybe that Tim is gone forever, and now he has to adjust to the new Tim. And the White Sox have to adjust to the new Tim.
What would make you think that is? Why would you say forever in that situation? What makes you say that?
I wouldn't say forever, but you can't just keep him up there because he was a good
but you said he might be gone forever. Why?
He might be. I don't know. The guy might be. He hasn't shown that he's got back from the injury, and that he hasn't hit a home run since last May 29th.
It's July. I had that stat wrong. I think it's like July 15th.
Okay.
He has one home run since last May.
So
so he has May 22nd. He homered, and that was the second game of the Yankee doubleheader. But then he had one more after that
in July.
Yeah, so that guy hasn't been here at all. But
like we said, before he had the knee injury in April,
home runs still though.
But he
was hitting 300 almost.
A 400 slugging percentage. That's decent.
I'm saying it doesn't have to be forever, but him being at the leadoff spot because he can be that guy, to me, seems like you're giving him a break. Not you guys giving him a break, but that's Pedro giving him a break, and then letting him work through things on the major league roster, which is more of a White Sox thing. He should be on the bench, getting healthy and getting his knee as close to 100% as he can, because he's not really providing anything right for the White Sox that other players can't provide for them.
I don't think you're going to see that from Pedro. That has not been the way that Pedro has talked about guys who are struggling, or even really the way he constructs his lineups at all. You guys have kind of, after watching last year, the constant complaints for a consistent lineup. Boy, that's what you got now from Pedro Grifol. And I think the idea is they don't just need Tim Anderson. They need Tim Anderson in that one spot in the lineup. And so you better figure it out there. soon.
I forgot who shared it in the chat, but somebody mentioned Luis Robert getting demoted in the lineup, and now we see him creeping back up. But I think he got down to 5th or 6th in the lineup after consistently being top 3. I mean, it's not completely out of Pedro's precedence. Is it going to be based on play, like strictly? Because I mean, the play hasn't been there since the knee injury and the return in May 2nd or whatever.
I guess what I would say to that is that maybe Luis Robert Jr. has a little bit more lineup flexibility to begin with. You know what I mean? If you're obviously, let's just put it this way: had we shown you at the beginning of the season saying, "Oh, Pedro Grifol opted to bat Luis Robert Jr. 6th,"
we would be pissed.
You might. Well, what I was going to say was actually the opposite. It's maybe like maybe it's not where you would put him in a situation, but you wouldn't be like, oh, that's a horrible spot for him. Like his game can succeed there at the 6th spot, and maybe you could see a world in which other players are playing better, and he's just having a good year batting 6th kind of thing. Tim Anderson, it almost seems like moving him from one to another spot would be a big difference versus moving Luis from 3 to 6. You're still in a spot where you're going to drive, where you're going to be expected to be an RBI guy, drive in runs, produce runs, that kind of thing. Whereas the one spot in the order and any other spot in the order really for Tim Anderson, given the lack of power that you just talked about, is a big difference and maybe not a place that he is suited to be in the long run.
Could be second leadoff hitter at 9.
Well, the guy who loves the second leadoff hitter is not managing this team anymore.
Darn. Isn't that a shame for all of us? Anyways, we'll take a quick break, and we'll let you know about some of our great sponsors, and then we'll get into the White Sox struggling against right-handed pitchers and Hunter Gaddis. I know people are frustrated with this division, so we'll share some silver linings shared by the NBC Sports Chicago broadcast earlier today. Herb,
yes,
were you stressed out when you were buying tickets down in Atlanta?
I was not stressed out, Sean. Do you know why?
No, I have a hunch.
I used Game Time, Sean.
Look at that. Was buying tickets to your favorite events stressful?
Not at all.
It shouldn't be.
I bought some tickets, Sean, and I checked another website because they have a 110% guarantee on Game Time, and that other site happened to have in my section cheaper seats. And you know what? I sent an email to Game Time. I said, "Hey man, what's up with this?
Is this how you did it?"
And like, "Hey man," I was on my typewriter. "Hey man,
just
what's up with this?
G, H, and F over.
What's up with this?" And they're like, "Hey man, we agree with you. Here's $46, which was 110% of the price difference between Game Time and the other site."
And how fast did you get that?
12 minutes.
Look at that.
Literally 12 minutes.
It is the easiest and fastest way to find the best deals to all of the events that you want to go to, whether it's a concert, whether it's sports, whether it's maybe there's poetry on a lawn somewhere. I don't know.
Lawn poetry.
Lawn poetry. They're probably
behind a
tickets.
fence because you need a ticket to get in.
Of course.
With Jack Kerouac.
You think he might be dead.
Also not a poet.
No, I thought he was a beat.
He wrote a book.
Okay.
This is part of the Beat generation.
Okay.
I just know that Natalie Merchant wrote a song about him.
All right.
Well, I guess it was 10,000 Maniacs. But snag the tickets without the stress of Game Time. Go to a Natalie Merchant concert, maybe even a 10,000 Maniacs concert. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Did you have a little comment?
No. I was just thinking about my typewriter, and when I was a kid, I had a word processor. These kids nowadays, man, homework's easy as hell. How do you not get A's on homework? It's ridiculous.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, but you've seen all the
It's
kids,
so easy.
not even removing all the parts where ChatGPT like screws up. They're just literally copying and pasting the whole text body. I mean, don't be stupid, folks, if you're going to cheat.
I mean, you had to really type out things. And I mean, for you kids who don't know what a word processor is, it's like a typewriter, but it actually shows you the words digitally. And then later on, it types out the paper when you're ready to print it. And, oh, my God, you couldn't make a mistake because after you're done, after it typed it out, you read it again. It's like, son of a bitch, I made an error right there. And teachers used to actually look at that stuff and give you marks off for your penmanship and how you didn't mess up or anything or didn't white out something and put it better.
Can I tell you guys a story?
Go right ahead. I was going to just say my references are usually pretty dated.
Oh, yeah.
Herb, I have no idea what the hell you're talking
Word
about.
processor? Oh, man. I'm old. Some guy in there
Yeah, I don't know what that
I'm
is.
talking about.
I don't know what that
Paul
is
Correct
either.
is as old as I am, I think.
Probably.
Fred
But
knows, too.
to your point, like how just school has gotten easier, I don't know what the hell a word processor is to your point. But one time in high school, in biology, we got this kind of study guide for the final, and I was just struggling with the first question, and I was like, oh, I'll Google it. And the second result was the printout of the study guide.
That you literally had in front
and
of
then you go to the last page, and oh hey, there's the answer key. And then the study guide was actually the final. So all I did was study the study guide with all the answers, and then just went in there and took the final in about 5 minutes. So yeah, school can be really easy if you find the literal answers.
Was this at St. Xavier?
No, this was at Brother Rice.
Work smart. Take your degree way.
Act manfully. Jesus would do it the smart way, folks. I got my little ComEd readers.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are going to tell me about the great website I can visit at comed.com/ oh, wait.
Go ahead.
Wrong. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve, helping manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future. Vinny?
Herb, yeah. You know what I was doing? I was staring. The now is in all caps.
Now.
And I don't know if we really punch that now as much as we're supposed to.
Now.
And into the future.
Herb, though you're right, ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across our beloved territory. ComEd also offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities like those for HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes.
Do tell us, Vinny, how does that work?
Well, I'm going to tell you. An authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks, customers will receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that they can start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. If you own a business, don't wait.
I won't.
Oh, here's the Chicago Transit Authority.
There you go.
Get started saving money and energy today. For energy-saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment, go to comed.com/poweringbiz, B-I-Z.
Did you say comed.com/poweringbiz? It's in all caps, so I had to yell it.
There's a question mark on the end there, too, so you should be powering biz?
Powering biz?
Biz? Yeah, Herb, I did. Schedule it today.
With an exclamation point.
Today!
You guys did it great.
Thank you, Sean.
Very accurate to the text. All right, let's move on, and let's talk about the White Sox struggling against right-handed pitchers, which is basically just copying and pasting our script from last year, where the White Sox struggled against right-handed pitching. And I was doing a little research here, and I just feel like the White Sox face a ton of right-handed pitching, like an inordinate amount of right-handed pitching. And I'm kind of right. There are three teams that have faced, that 80% of their pitches faced have come against right-handed pitching. 2 of them are American League teams, and I think it's funny that in Vinny's recent piece, where he talked to Gavin Sheets, Gavin brought up the Rays, being like, hey, we can't really worry about the Rays because they're not in our division. It's not
about for the White Sox being as good as the Rays. It's being as good and better than the Twins and the other 3 teams.
Right. Yeah. So maybe this comparison isn't great, but Joey, if we could flash that again. This is the Rays and Sox versus right-handed pitching. Both of them, again, over 80% of their pitches faced this year for their batters have come against right-handed pitching. The Rays ISO versus right-handed pitching, 219.
You got to explain to the people what ISO means.
ISO is slugging minus batting average.
There it is.
So very easy stat to figure it out. But ISO, usually a good ISO is around 175. 200 is great. The Rays, obviously, are a great team. An ISO of isolated power of 219. The Sox, around 148. That is an improvement over last year.
Okay.
Last year was around 120 when they were hitting a ton of singles. So we'll get to the improvement that has been made, but the Sox struggling compared to the Rays. Run value. I love this stat. We used this stat a ton last year to show how good Dylan Cease's slider was. It was the most dominant pitch in baseball according to run value. The Rays versus right-handed pitching have created 37.7 run value. The White Sox negative 15.6. So very, very good compared to very, very bad.
Mm-hmm.
Exit velocity stuff, just because I always am interested in this. The Rays hit the ball 2 miles per hour harder. They hit the ball in the air, more on a line to, fly ball radius, about, 5% higher, 5 degrees higher. And with that, they hit the ball on distance about 6 feet further than the White Sox. And that distance, when you're hitting, hundreds of balls in a game, matter and add up once you're, taking that over the full length of that data. And then called strike plus whiff too. That is just if the White Sox or Rays are getting called strikes, letting the pitcher get a strike called or just swinging and missing, the Sox swing and miss and, kind of help the pitcher a little bit more than the Rays do at about like 1.4% difference. And again, over the amount of pitches that this is, that creates that massive run value that you see.
The 50 run value.
Basically.
Damn.
And that's just something that frustrates me because we know how good the White Sox were in 2020 and 2021 against left-handed pitching. But what have they done to improve against right-handed pitching? Something that they see 80% of the time. Like, I don't feel like we've seen the improvement there for the White Sox, and they really don't have any right-handed killers. And I guess it's supposed to be Yasmani Grandal, who in 2021 was so fantastic, and Yoan Moncada as well, who's dealt with so many injuries that we've talked about. But it has been something that is an Achilles heel for the White Sox. They can't hit right-handed pitching, and it could be Bo Brisky or it could be Hunter Gatherer out there for the Guardians. It doesn't matter. They'll have a nice, easy-breezy 6 innings, and it's basically going up against the Oakland A's.
And you really can't say it's because they have a right-handed dominated lineup. They don't anymore. I mean, Gavin Sheets plays a bunch. You're talking about Yoan Moncada and Yasmani Grandal, both switch hitters, which would bat left-handed versus these right-handers. And Andrew Benintendi brought in this year. So you would think, hey, improvement, which they have shown improvement as your numbers state. You said they have a higher isolated power, but they're not attacking pitchers. I think it's a team-wide thing where they allow pitchers to settle in and allow pitchers to get to their counts and then flail at pitches way too much. We said last year they were struggling tremendously versus sliders, and they couldn't lay off of those, and they were outside the zone. Earlier this year, the same exact story. Now, a power-hitting left-hander, which the White Sox have but don't, because Gavin Sheets has hit 4 home runs in the last couple of weeks, but I wouldn't consider him a power-hitting left-hander, especially because the guy's going to be platooning when Eloy Jimenez gets back. I would say they need that in their lineup, a guy that you're afraid of in the middle of the order that can crush right-handers, but they don't have that, and so they'll be searching for that forever. And the right-handers, even when they do hit versus right-handers, they don't hit them for power, as the White Sox have shown this whole year, except for Luis Robert and Jake Berger, who have shown you a little bit more long ball skills than most of the team. I think the main cause of this is, one of the main causes, Tim Anderson not hitting for power this year. Yoan Moncada hasn't hit for power this year. His first 2 home runs were in Houston. He hasn't hit one since. And you don't have Eloy Jimenez in the lineup for the most part. So normalizing this lineup, having a little bit more balance, having a lineup that is full without injuries, yes, I think the White Sox would hit better, but that day hasn't come and doesn't really seem to come in the future because Eloy's still, 2-3 weeks out, and I'm sure somebody else will get hurt in the interim while Eloy comes back.
It's the plan that the front office put together this offseason was based on the guys that they already had going back to 2021, basically, right? In some cases, 2020, going back to their old ways. And there was a new coaching staff brought in to get them there. New hitting coaches, new manager, obviously. It hasn't paid off. And we talked about this in April when everything was going wrong for this team, and it was just, you didn't even need to point to a specific part of the offense because you could point, literally just close your eyes and point everywhere, and something was going wrong. But now, here, they're playing a little bit better. They're winning some more games. They've somehow this AL Central has been bad enough that they are able to be in the race in some regard. And you can zero in on things that look like they could stay chronic problems for this team. Really, the hope, I guess, must remain the same as it did from November. Because in November, they seemed to make up their minds and say, we're not going to, drastically overhaul this roster. Not that they were really able to, as we talked about many, many times over the course of the offseason with kind of the way they were stuck in some regards. But listen, they brought in new coaches and said, all right, go get these guys to hit the way they used to hit. That they're not doing that is kind of wrecking everything, right? I mean, is kind of the is the season going to play out the way that they want it to at this point if that one problem can't be fixed? Because coming out of last season, the biggest problem area was the offense. Boy, that offense doesn't look like what it's supposed to look like. And the White Sox decided, all right, we're going to go with the same guys again because we think that they can make it look like it used to look. Hasn't happened yet, and I'm not saying that that's the coaching staff's fault. I'm saying it's the players' fault for not being able to do what they were going up there to try to do. Certainly, everybody shares a little bit of blame, but the point being that here you go. This was what this season was riding on from the get-go, and a terrible April aside. If that doesn't get fixed, if that doesn't live up to what the front office thought it was going to be, then it's not going to get much better.
Absolutely. But it's frustrating because I just feel like they never understand how to address their biggest needs. Second base has been an issue for the past 3 years or really 4 years. I mean, since 2020. I mean, they've always been trying to figure out that spot. And one of the corner spots, whether it be left field or right field, have always been a concern. And I feel like this has been an issue where they haven't had that left-handed power to help this contention window. And I feel it's a point where it's just malpractice with this team. Because like in 2020, it was Nomar Mazara. That didn't work out, but I guess it's valiant in some way because he had, crazy StatCast power, but
they tried to bring in left-handed power, boy, didn't they?
Couldn't unleash it. And then in 2021, the left-handed power was Adam Eaton because they swung and missed at Jock Peterson. A good first idea, but they couldn't nail that one down. In 2022, they got left-handed power in AJ Pollock. He bats right-handed, and then Andrew Benintendi. Not trying to bash anybody. I know people are really sore when I get critical about Andrew Benintendi, but again, like he has not delivered on power. That's something that is clear, but it's just frustrating that they haven't been able to help this team in be able to build out the lineup, because the issue with those players, it's not like they're not talented. We know that the record's great when all those players play, 31-15, and the 46 were the main 5 play. It's just that they're not playing together. And even Tim, even though he's playing, is hampered by injuries. Yohan, even though he's playing, seemingly still hampered by injuries. Yasmani, it's kind of hit or miss on if his groin or hamstring's going to pull. Someone's walking on that roof behind us. And it's
right
very
behind
unnerving.
us?
It's on the one shot, so I mean, on the 2 shot, you might be able to see him. It's all about health, and that's the thing. It's the reason when you're going to get somebody who is worth $75 million or plus. Like, I understand that Andrew Benintendi is a great everyday player, right? He's going to play 155 games, which is, kind of the antithesis of all the 5 players, right? They're not healthy. But I still feel like you need more of an impact. And that's the thing is, like, when all of these guys are out, there is no impact. Or when this lineup is slightly affected, there is no impact. It really feels like unless they have all of those 5 guys, they're not able to put together consistent night in, night out offensive performances. And again, that's not Andrew Benintendi's fault. I'm more trying to blame the general manager who put the team together.
I think it, at the end of the day, you can probably go back to spring training, preseason, when we were talking about this team. How many times did we likely say, well, there's no way they can be as injured again as they were the last 2 years? I'm sure that that's part of the thinking of the front office during the offseason, because we were thinking it as well. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, here is another season, or at least certainly the first month of it, where, yes, they were all injured that much again. And it's just crazy to think that that could be the case. That's bad luck in a way, but this problem has not gone away. And I'm not talking even about the injuries. I'm talking about the offense. The offense we saw last year has been the offense we've seen for the most part this year, give or take the last few weeks when things have been a little bit better. But until they unlock this offense or figure out how to bring these guys back to what they're supposed to be, which was the mission of the offseason, right? Then it's not going to happen, because that was the biggest problem last year. It's been a big problem again this year.
In the grand scheme, I didn't really mind the Andrew Benintendi signing, as long as they did another signing, like Conforto, other players who can play right field. So you're not depending on a rookie right fielder in Oscar Colas to get all those at bats. It turns out that Oscar Colas wasn't ready for prime time, but also got blamed for the whole team struggling, and it's easy to send the rookie down than to send other players down. So I think it was a miscalculation on the offseason for the front office where, yeah, we can talk about that, Vinny. We could talk about that, Sean, about, man, there's no way these guys could be injured as they were last year. But the front office had to say, maybe there is a way. Let's protect ourselves. That's half the reason why I wanted to trade Eloy. Not because Eloy is bad or anything, because he's injury prone. I just wanted to get people in the building that I know are going to be young, healthy, and playing for the most part. So that was where my thought was on the Eloy thing. And you kind of can blame Rick Hahn on all the moves and all the moves he didn't do, but also I kind of get what you're saying, Vinny. Like, their process, even though I think it's flawed, they might not think it's flawed because they're saying these guys in 2021 won a damn division and they did it by mashing the ball. What is different from 2 years ago? Nothing. If we just get them back and they're healthy, that will happen again. It's the same division. They still suck in this division. Get them healthy and let's go. But I think also that's foolhardy to think that all these players who got injured all last year would come back and give you even 120 games each, because Luis hasn't even done 100 yet.
No, but I mean, Luis has been the one that has played basically one but every game.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's the one guy you can't complain about. He's shown up every single day, and brought his. I like to picture that he's got a lunchbox. He's got a lunch
pail?
Yeah, he's got a lunch pail, and what do blue collar people wear? Blue jeans.
I don't think people think of him as a lunch pail guy, especially after the whole not running the first injury miscommunication thing.
Yeah, he's fine.
He has a Mercedes-Benz and a
butterfly
sanctuary.
Yeah. We're all jealous.
He does it in a briefcase, comes in a three-piece suit.
I mean,
he's Willie Mays Hayes.
Maybe he's got like a Black Panther lunchbox though for like La Pantera.
Yeah,
maybe.
Like one that a little kid might have.
You're right.
Yeah, sure.
Like a little plastic one, whatever. You guys can picture it. Just to close out before we hit the next ad break, one final thing that Tampa Bay and White Sox comparison versus right-handed pitchers. Tampa Bay 353 hits. The Sox have 322. The Sox have 209 singles to Tampa's 202 singles. Tampa has 78 doubles. Sox have 69 doubles. They both have 3 triples. And the big thing, Tampa has hit 69 home runs off of right-handed pitchers. Sox have hit 40. So just a big gap right there. And then the Sox pitch by pitch versus right-handed pitchers off the fastball, negative 5.8 run value. That's 23rd in Major League Baseball versus the slider, negative 9 run value. That's 25th in Major League Baseball. Against the sweeper, 0.4 run value. That's 17th in Major League Baseball. Against the curveball, negative 5.1 run value. That's 25th in Major League Baseball. And then versus split/changeups, negative 0.6 run value, 19th in Major League Baseball. All to say that they are below average against right-handed pitching.
Yeah, it's been really horrible, and I know you put it versus the Rays because they have a similar amount of percentage versus right-handed pitchers. So, but the Rays are otherworldly right now. They're the best team in baseball, and their hitters just crush. Well, so it is where the White Sox should be. I'm not giving them an excuse. That's where the White Sox should be competing at this point. But yeah, the Rays are in a different stratosphere than the White Sox and most teams in Major League Baseball.
They're an incredible organization. A lot of teams can learn a lot from the way the Tampa Bay Rays are run. Joey, we're going to take a quick break, but there is one more image in Slack that I made, so if you want to drop that in, I'll need that after the ad break. Want to take a quick break and let you know about Fubo TV. That's how we watched the game today. You can sign up through FuboTV.com/CHGO or the link in the description. They have over 140 live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. You can stream live TV from any device. You talked about the Lincoln Park Zoo having 3 baby tigers?
Lions.
Yeah. So you can watch the news and watch that footage. Look at that, through Fubo TV. Or you can watch the White Sox.
It's free if you want to go see them in person.
It's free. Joey learned that too today. Watch the most Chicago sports for the lowest price. And talking about free, you can start watching immediately with a 7-day free trial. There's no contract, no cable, no hassle. Just sign up and start watching. And over 1,000 hours of cloud DVR is my favorite feature that's included at no extra charge. And you can watch local teams while traveling. I don't think there's any geo restrictions. So if you're, maybe going to Miami,
I think
Cleveland,
they just ask you
Columbus,
on your when you're watching. I watch on my phone sometimes when I was in Kansas City. It said, "Are you here forever, or are you just visiting?" It's like, just visiting. Let me watch my FUBO. And they're like, yeah, let's go.
And maybe you could watch the White Sox. Maybe you could watch the French Open, the WNBA, the NHL draft, where the Blackhawks will be taking
At Roland Garros? At Roland Garros?
Oh, yeah.
That was my French right
I got
there.
you. Yeah,
That
that's pretty good. No, that's pretty good.
Yannick Noah will be pissed.
I'm the Roland Garros reference.
Roland Garros?
Just didn't go, that's my
Okay.
tennis novice sticking out there. It is clay.
Yeah.
Federer's not playing though. I don't think.
I think
hasn't he dominated the clay for so long throughout his career?
He's done playing tennis.
Or is it maybe the Nadal?
Ever.
I believe.
Yes.
Nadal is.
But he's injured, right?
Nadal has the clay advantage.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, you can watch
Very
that on
tough to beat on
FUBO. Also, the NBA Finals on ABC.
All I know about Clay is Ray Clay.
Yes. Public address announcer for the Bulls back in the day.
Clay Aiken,
Also a Clay.
Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
That's Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
So.
14-time French Open winner, Nadal. King of the clay. That's what they call him.
King of the clay. Is he gonna play though in the French Open? You could also watch the White Sox on NBC Sports Chicago through Fubo TV. With Fubo TV, use the link in the description to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. FuboTV.com/CHGO. Do you know if he's playing, Joe?
Let me check.
Update the people because they want to watch on Fubo TV. Also, take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shade Rays have you covered with warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Maybe you're going out to the French Open and you're at the Roland Garros and you need some shades to watch Nadal be the king of clay
Versus Joker.
Novak
Djokovic.
Can either of you name another tennis player?
Michael
Active-
Chang. Oh,
Nick Kyrgios.
John
You
McEnroe.
just got it.
Active.
You
Oh.
said not Nick Kyrgios.
Nick Kyrgios.
I heard you. I was seeing if they could do it.
TM.
Dominic.
Dominic
Also,
TM.
no one knows who that is. You know.
Nick Kyrgios?
John Isner.
Bro,
Nick
what?
Kyrgios.
Nick
There, I got
Kyrgios.
one. John Isner.
Nick
American.
Kyrgios
Boom.
is incredibly popular.
Guys, Serena Williams.
Is she active?
Nick Kyrgios is
Venus Williams.
John Eisner has withdrawn from the Rome Masters.
Martina
still active?
Navratilova.
Who did you say, Joey?
Steffi Graf.
Margaret Court.
Me?
Yeah.
Nick Kyrgios, Greek, Australian.
Nick-
He's very popular.
It's like
Okay.
KRYGI.
All right, no, yeah.
TM,
28 years
Dominic
old.
TM, Zverev. Some good tennis players.
Coco Gauff.
Coco Golf, yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyways, Shade Ray is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. They have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventure. And that's not all. Shade Ray offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses brought backed by lost and broken replacements. If you are like Mark Carman, maybe you're playing outdoor tennis and maybe you're trying to get your backhand, but the sunglasses fall off and then you step and crack them. Shady Rays is not going to ask you any questions, right? They're just going to replace them. No questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. And if you don't love your Shady Rays, I don't know why you wouldn't. You could exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. You're a very good audience to ad read to. I really liked your
Nadal.
faces.
Oh, yeah.
Nadal pulled out of the French Open. Expects 2024 to be his final year.
I've got another tennis player for you. Mario.
Mario Tennis.
From the game
yeah.
Mario Tennis.
Yeah, he has a great
Wii,
he has a
yes.
great serve. Hold A and B. Unbeatable.
Luigi.
I am Yoshi in all Mario games, Mario Universe games. So when I picked up Mario Tennis as a youngin', I had to stick with Luigi. Or not Luigi, Yoshi.
Are you young enough to be in the Mario world, or were you just kind of like
I wasn't.
you only had the first one where it
I'm
was
a
just
sports.
Mario?
Yeah, I played. Of course, I played Super Mario Bros. It's awesome. But when the Wii came out, I was already like in my 20s, and I never could play Mario Kart correctly.
Mario Tennis is on N64.
Yeah, I never got that.
GameCube.
Yeah, I was only good at sports games. Technically, that's a sports
Tennis is a
game.
sport, yeah.
But I was not on doing those games or those first-person shooters. I do like the NBA, the MLB, hockey.
I don't know if I'm an evil person, Vinny, for this, but I like to be Bowser in Mario Kart. I feel like I have a lot of success with.
You're the bad guy.
I'm
You
the bad.
play the bad as the bad guy.
Well,
on
I mean,
purpose?
he's. I mean, they
He throws like
they
shells,
allow
right?
it. They made the game as a selectable character.
Wow, it says a lot about you, Sean.
Well, that's what I said. I said I don't know what it says about me.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you could do a little deep dive on a psychoanalysis on why I picked Bowser. But I guess
It's not
skip
good.
it.
It's not gonna
Just-
end well.
Just bad. Oh well. All right. Speaking of things not ending well, do you have the graphic I just sent in Slack, Joey? I thought this was great. I do love the optimism from NBC Sports Chicago. They flashed this before it was a 3-0 game. I think it was just 1-0 at this time. But they flashed this as the Sox were down 1-0 before they really unloaded on Hunter-Gatherer and I think got 2 more hits. But worst records of eventual playoff teams through 48 games since 2019. There is the 2022 Guardians, who won the AL Central last year. They're 23-25. The 2019 Athletics, 23-25. The 2022 Braves, 23-25. 2022 Phillies, who made it to the World Series, they were 21-27. The Mariners in 2022, a record of 20-28. And the Nationals in 2019, the World Series winning Nationals of 2019, 19-29 through 48 games. The White Sox were also 19-29 through 48 games. And Jason shared this. The Nationals, at that 19-29 point, lost 2 more games to get to 19-31 before they even started turning things around. So the White Sox losing today actually puts them closer in line to winning the World Series by that graphic alone.
Awesome.
I'll say this about that graphic, though, and this is less about the graphic and what NBC did, but just more about the actual stat. Like 22-24, was that what the Guardians were last year?
22-25.
22-20, like that's not that bad.
No.
Like the White Sox are 11 games under 500. Right, like that was what, 2 or 3 games under 500.
Well, it was teams that were under 500.
I guess I'm just saying like that's not necessary. Maybe they should have shrunk the number of teams they picked for the graphic.
All I say when I see things like that and people compare the White Sox to the Nationals, I say, where's the Juan Soto? Where's our Max Scherzer? Where's our Trey Turner? Show me these players, then I can get on those.
Bryce Harper on that team?
No, he was not on that team.
Okay.
They did not. They won a World Series without him, and they were dunking on him. Oh, you shouldn't have left. It's like
First season without him.
Strasburg, though.
Yeah,
Right.
Fine.
Patrick Corbin was good.
Yeah, find me these people on the White Sox, and I'll go with you. Like you could say Luis Robert could be Juan Soto. He should be Juan Soto. And where else do we got? Where's our Trey Turner? Where's our Anthony Rendon?
He's
Also wears 7.
Where's our Howie Kendrick? Our Adam Eaton. Also champion.
Howie Kendrick was an X factor in that series.
He was. Yeah. It's. Do we think they're a World Series team?
They're not a playoff team.
I mean,
right now.
literally. I mean,
right now they're 11
it's
games
just-
under 500.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stat clearly is just we are covering a bad baseball team.
Yeah.
Here's a fun stat because all the other stats are horrible.
I know what they're doing. They're giving hope because they don't want to be doing games in April and August and September to no audiences. So they're like, hey guys, stick around. Teams in recent history, this is all since 2019, those teams on that list have done the same or a little bit better than the White Sox and then gone like the Nationals to win it all. So maybe we do have a Scherzer on our team. Maybe that's Lucas Giolito. It won't be.
All right, so I want to go to a little segment here. I'm going to steal it from Kevin Kaduk and Luke Stuckmeyer of
White Sox, Tom, stop it. You're baseball. No, you're out. Stop. You're canceled now.
Tuna
Wow,
soda.
you canceled him.
Oh,
Just for being not on the Juan Soto bandwagon.
Juan Soto's not even all that. Stop it. Stop. No more baseball for you. None.
All right, but I want to steal something from Kevin Kaduk and Luke Stuckmeyer of the CHGO Sports Podcast, and I guess Lawrence Benedetto and Casey too. Oh, you got it. Bearish or bullish? All right. So if you're bearish, guys, it basically means you're selling, and if
confused,
you're
you're surprised
bullish,
that I got it.
You're buying. I wasn't surprised, but it was just
Coming
like,
at
hey,
me
look at
too.
you.
It's like a
Yeah, I know.
three-dimensional.
It's animated.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean,
Wow.
we don't get these type of graphics. We have to steal it from other shows.
That was outrageous.
Good super chat here from Husky Bardo because I kind of just wanted to ask this question, and this was what this whole segment was based around. So we'll kind of get some synergy here. How many guys do they need, or how many games do they need to be out for them to be sellers? Looks like the Twins lose again. How many games does it take to win this division? The question that I wanted to really ask you guys is based off of Jeff Passan's hit on ESPN 1000 today, where he said it wouldn't be something that would be popular in Chicago, but the white flag trade was the right move at the time. And if a situation arises where the White Sox are 2 to 3 games out at the deadline, it might be better long-term to do another white flag trade in 2023. Bearish or bullish?
They're going to be 2 to 3 games out by the end of July?
I guess that's the thing is, right, I mean, you kind of fold in the whole entire question there, but if that situation arises, if they are in contention, because I think it probably makes that question a little bit easier to answer if they are 10 games under 500. Right. But even if they are still not in first place come trade deadline, have we seen enough to kind of decide what the future or what the destiny holds for the 2023 Sox?
Well, I'll say a couple of things, and this has a lot to do with what I wrote yesterday, so it's a nice plug. But I think
ALLCITY.com.
Of course.
It's
Memorial Day is traditionally that time of year when teams can evaluate whether this is something to be played out to the rest to playoff contention, or if it's going to be a deadline sale. The American League Central is doing the White Sox no favors when it comes to making that decision, because here they are with an objectively horrible record, right? So far beyond where they were last year when it was the end of the world, but they were 81-81. Now they're 10 games worse than that. And yet they're 7 games out of first place. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are in this right now. You can wait. You don't have to make that decision on Memorial Day. There's no deadline then, right? The deadline's at the end of July for a reason, as you just showed with several of those teams who have made the playoffs being in what seemed to be dire straits at this time of year. So that's a difficult question to answer. I don't know if it is about what their record is come July. It might be what the American League Central looks like, because, I mean, you got all these guys. I don't think you press the end button on this entire project when you can go win a division. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're going to do it. I'm not going to sit here and say you should be watching this team because they might win the World Series. But to be able to chase down the Twins, that doesn't seem like the most unrealistic thing in the world. And if you're going to wave the white flag, so to speak, when that's possible with everything you've built here over the last few years, because here's another hypothetical situation. Yeah, they're not playing well, right? Or they haven't played super well to this point. Their record is awful. But what if they chase down the Twins, win the division? Maybe they get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, but then guess what? All these guys are back next year, and then what if they're good then? And this project is not yet. There's no time of death on this project yet, I don't think.
I guess the thought, though, is with going to the Andrew Benintendi discussion and, him kind of not being the piece for this team, right? He's a complementary piece. The real discussion is, if you're waving the white flag, it's the pieces that are going to be leaving this team. So if you are selling off Lance Lynn or Lucas Giolito or, Joe Kelly or Kendall Graveman or, whomever, the team's going to be worse, but you're not trading Tim Anderson or Luis Robert, right? You're keeping the core still together. So is that waving the white flag? Are you trying to load up because you still think that this core could be something in 2024? I guess it's really the severity of the pieces that get dealt. And maybe, you're not technically waving the white flag at the trade deadline because you're not trading Tim Anderson, but you are dealing Lance Lynn because, Lance Lynn might not be a part of this team's plans for 2024 regardless.
I think to answer Husky Bardo's question initially, I don't know. They could be as many games out as they are now, 7, and I would be like, you could still get this division. It's not that great. And I don't agree with the white flag trade. It sucked. 3 games out and versus that Cleveland team. Yeah, you might not have caught it, but to give up at that time, it had 2 full months of playing to go in games versus Cleveland itself. So I never liked that. It produced good results with the Kids Can Play team that won in 2000, but that's neither here nor there. I say no. Once you trade any of those players, Lucas or Lance or Joe Kelly or Kendall Graveman, etc., you're signaling to the rest of the league this is over. We're not coming back next year to do anything, because not only is Lucas leaving, via free agent or trade, more likely, you're probably not going to re-sign Mike Clevenger, depending on what's going on. So you only have 2 guys coming back from the starting rotation for next year. So no matter if you're going for it this year and just putting pedal to the metal, or you're trading off those guys, you're going to need 3 starters for next year, for this White Sox team. So I would say that they can't trade off no matter what, because next year is going to be bad as far as starting pitchers, and they need as much positivity in this year that they can get. And I think also it signals to the two front office guys, hey, we're probably not going to let you do this again. We're probably not going to let you retool and rebuild this team again, because you already had one, at least two, some would say. So, and you failed at both of them. So I would say putting the foot down to the pedal and going and acquiring extra bats or extra pitching would be more likely. I would like them to do that, other than trading off their assets and then trying to retool on the fly.
Yeah, I think that looks more likely where they are right now, which, and as I pointed out, that's where they are right now is not something to necessarily be super excited about, but it's far from being buried. And in this division, there's a playoff spot out there to go be had, and them doing everything they can to go get that playoff spot seems more realistic to me than them just folding up shop if we get to July and they're still this or better, right? Mm-hmm. If we look up at it, or if we get to the 4th of July and they're 12 games out or 15 games out, it's a different story.
We've had the question though.
How would that happen? I mean, I'm not testing the fates. Don't make it happen, universe. Ugh.
I mean, they're closer to that than winning the division, right?
They are.
So I don't know. So that's more reality than them winning the division. That feels like more of the fantasy. Yeah, I would say I'm probably bearish on it. That's good.
Bearish is bad.
down.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be bullish on it because I think
Bullish on them being bad.
I think I'm bullish on them still trading the expiring deals no matter what.
Oh.
Because I feel at the deadline, I mean, we've talked about this. Lance Lynn, Lucas Giolito, they'll be coming up. Clevenger has, no option, right?
He has an
Mutual option.
A mutual option. Maybe they pick it up. Maybe they don't. They have, for sure, 2 starting pitchers on the roster next year.
Cease and Kopech.
Kopech, and the one that would probably be a guy to slide in,
Just
Davis
had
Martin.
Tommy John surgery. Yeah.
Just had Tommy John. Garrett Crochet doesn't seem to be a starter at all, so really wouldn't put him in the mix there. So they have 2 for sure starters for the
They have to
2024
go
team.
Get starting pitching.
Why? Like, you couldn't try to turn Lance Lynn into 2 maybe starters and just get guys that can eat up innings, and maybe they're reclamation projects, but you take a shot at just arms. Like, I don't know. You
Jake
deal,
Arrieta's, if you will.
right? You deal Lucas Giolito and you try to get something, and maybe you try to get 4 somethings, and 2 of them turn into enough to be starters for the 2024 team. Like, I don't know. It's not going to make for the best playoff roster for 2023, but maybe it's doing the best for the 2024 team. I'm not sure though.
Go get Dane Dunning again.
Go get Dane Dunning again. Yeah,
I think that the best answer to the question, which is not really an answer, is they're in a spot where it's hard to tell. They're in a spot right now where it's hard to tell, because normally
11 games under 500 though.
In a normal division, 10 games under 500 would be all right. That's enough of this. But this is not a normal division, and they're only 7 games back of first place. They win tomorrow and the Twins lose tomorrow, they're only 6 games back. I mean, like, this is ground that can be made up. That is not an unclosable gap, and that's what I think makes this strange, because here we are basically at Memorial Day, and I don't know if Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams and Jerry Reinsdorf can make that decision yet.
Yeah, it's interesting, and what we've always talked about, the one thing that will make that decision maybe more clear for ownership would be if the wallet is affected. And in 2022, they had a $2 million gate, and John Greenberg tweeted this out earlier. These things fluctuate, of course, but after the Sox homestand, they're showing the biggest year-over-year per game attendance decline in baseball at 5,379 people. That's a 23.4% decline from last year through 25 games compared to last year. And, of course, I like this. Sox fans do not have the TWTW, the will to watch. So,
wow, Greenberg.
Yeah. Why he's a writer.
Well written.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, if this team starts winning, maybe we'll see that attendance flip, and more people will want to go watch the White Sox. But if they're going to be 11 games under 500, and that's going to be, kind of just, 9 games, 11 games, 10 games, like I do think that, we'll probably get a clear decision by June and early July if this is the status quo.
What I would say too is there anybody that's surprised by those attendance numbers?
No.
Because what? Because a rise in 2022 attendance is based on the fact that they won the division in 2021. A drop in 2023 attendance based on the fact that they had what Rick Hahn called the most disappointing season of the careers of most of the people that work for the team. That is to be expected. They need to do what Rick Hahn said. I think that the use of that phrase, win the fans' trusts back, is a little overblown, is a little overwrought perhaps, but they're not going to put butts in the seats unless they start winning. And right now, we're talking about a team that's 11 games under 500.
I agree.
%. Yeah. And that's the one thing is, the one thing that's going to prove it is winning. And, 11 games under 500 kind of
haven't proved it yet.
That point. Yep. Love you people for hanging out with us. Make sure you're hitting that like button, and we do appreciate everyone for hanging out with us. For this post game, we'll be with you tomorrow for another post game episode. Dylan Cease versus Logan Allen. So we'll see if Cy Cease can get the Sox back to their winning ways, at least winning ways regarding their last 6 games, not including tonight. Anyways, that's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. And make sure you check out his latest piece at allchgo.com about the changing of the season and May being a better month than April for the Sox.
It would have to be.
That's Herb Lawrence.
They got to win out now, Sean, for your 20-9 prediction.
Oh, they will. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at AcknerWall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader, and Andrew Benintendi just needs to hit 10 more home runs for you to win that bet.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, we'll see if that happens. Thank you to Joey Spathis for producing the show. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Again, appreciate everyone for hanging out with us. We're only at Scotty Pod's likes, so make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. Our guy Blank Name, who's always hanging out with us, said that Scotty Pods didn't hit his last home run until the postseason. His first home run until 2005 postseason. So
picked a good time.
Yeah,
and then
he
did.
2 of them. Will Andrew Benintendi make it to the postseason with the White Sox?
He's got 5 years.
Well, he's got 5 years. We'll be with you for that entire 5-year span. Love you. Talk to you tomorrow. Go Sox.